guys, good evening.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. Hey, so we got a different topic for today. It's kind of a long day after work and running and grabbing some food to make low carb, guys.
Low carb, but ano
Gonna
naman?
try to slim down.
Nag-shake naman.
Honey, don't give away the secrets. Low carb's not so bad when you make an Oreo cookie shake. Huh? So, what we got for you guys tonight is we're going to talk about 10 things that kind of hinder or get in the way of a FilAm LDR, or a Westerner and a Filipina LDR. And we have 10, so we're going to go down the list and we're going to talk a little bit about how it impacted us when we were LDR for almost 4 years, and how, if we were able to overcome it, and if not, hopefully if you guys find out how to get past it, hey, let us know down in the comment section. So the first one is time difference.
If you're in LDR time.
And let me tell you what, it's a time difference from the Philippines to Hawaii. But I think there's other places that it might be a little bit worse, like maybe the East Coast. At least here, like nighttime is morning there, or afternoon is morning there. So you have a little bit of overlap, but on the East Coast, I don't think it's so easy. And especially if you're working, you go through your whole day, you get tired, and then you're still trying to spend time with each other, and it just gets really difficult. So the second one we have is misunderstandings, and we kind of got this from something that, I don't know, I noticed it a lot when we were chatting and doing our video chats, mostly the texting though, is it's hard to get the emotions across that you're feeling in a two-dimensional text. And then if you throw in there that it's not the first language of both of you, that there's sometimes we speak with like colloquialisms or things that mean one thing literally, but culturally they mean something different. And those things can tend to lead to misunderstandings. Our number 3 was tampo. Tampo is that's a big adjustment for Westerners.
Why the Scarlet?
It's not something we're used to unless you've been in a relationship with another Filipina. It's really hard.
Misunderstanding
We're on tampo.
Lead to tampo.
Oh, that's true. Very true. Almost always. It's about 99.9999999% sure that misunderstandings will lead directly to tampo. LDR tampo is a little bit different than in-person tampo. In-person tampo, you're still there. They just ignore you and kind of, most Westerners would say kind of play hard to get. But when you're on LDR, it materializes itself as they just ignore your text, or you're on a video call. You're on a video call and they don't say anything for like 20 minutes, and you're like, I called you so we could spend time together, and they're like, I'm here. Let's spend time. It doesn't really turn out to be quality time, but
But at least the video call can make us or me in my.
They want to see you suffer, guys. That's what it is. If it's a video call, they want to see you being sad.
No, we
they
just
want to see the emotion,
like, no.
so that they'll take you out of tampo and put you back in. We're close again. We're close. They'll tell you if you're in tampo, we're far. We're not like this. We're like this. And it's a temporary situation, hopefully. All right, the next one we have is jealousy. Jealousy in LDRs, I think, it's really natural, especially in relationships with Filipinas, because they're kind of jealous about any woman that you spend any time with, except for maybe your mother.
Yeah, and then they just didn't. Maybe they just didn't let you know about it, but deep inside, they're like, "Oh, why? Like,
Yeah. One of the examples that we talked about today was, like, if the guy is working and you're talking to your Filipina and you're like, you just mention, it's just normal day stuff. It doesn't mean anything to you as a guy. You're like, yeah, I was talking to a female coworker and we decided to go to lunch together. And this can lead to tampo, because your Filipina is like, well, why is he going to lunch with other women? And who is this other woman? I don't know her. And even if you've talked to them about that person, it's they get hurt in their heart a little bit. It's like, oh, he wants to spend time with her more than me. Why you didn't call me on your lunch instead of going to lunch with that girl? See, there you got the smile. It's true. All right, and the next one, it kind of plays into the jealousy as well. We have it as insecurities, and this was a big one for Cheryl and I, because both of us didn't really feel like we really deserved someone like each other. I know I felt like Cheryl's pretty great the whole time, and she downplays her value a lot, and I try to help build her up, and a lot of times she doesn't receive those compliments well. She thinks they're not true, they're fake, and it's hard for her to take a compliment that
until now
that really makes her feel pretty or smart, or whatever we're talking about, like a good cook. She'll always downplay it, or she'll say, oh, that's not true, but everybody else says it too. It's okay when they say it, but when I say it, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Well, you don't.
Yeah, because you're my husband, so maybe you just want, like, you just like to say it because you don't want me to get hurt.
But even when I tell you that's not why, you still don't believe me. Even though it's true, like 150 people can tell her she's beautiful, and if I tell her she's beautiful, she's like, buong.
But?
Well, you do the buong too. I can't remember all these things. It's too hard. All right, the next one we have is trust. Trust is big in LDR because you're not with the person all the time, and you have to believe that when they're not online with you or they're not chatting with you, that they're being faithful to you. And that's a big one, and a lot of times it's very difficult to build. How did we do on that, honey, as far as building that trust in those 9 months before we first met?
I just trust you that
you trusted me because you wanted it to be true, or you hoped it was true, or...
Well, I hope it's true, like... You're not explaining English. But, like... Well, yeah, I have doubt too, but I choose to trust you than, like... I have, like, thinking, like, maybe he's just playing, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But...
I think it's natural to have doubts, especially before you meet for the first time. And we know that our viewers out there, if you're LDR right now with the whole pandemic, there's no end in sight where you're going to be together. It's probably even harder to get through those issues. But if you stay true to each other, and you ask those hard questions and you give honest answers. I think that helps build trust, is when if you ask a question and I answer it, and then what I told you was true, does that makes you feel better the next time we have those questionable moments? Because they do come up, it's part of being in a relationship. Like if I go to work and I say, hey, I'm going to be home early today, honey, and I show up and I'm late, and she's like, oh, why you're late? I'm like, well, we had a meeting I didn't know we were going to have, and things like that pop up, but it's how you deal with it that I think
but
is
if you
important.
can, if she don't believe you and then you can prove it, then just prove it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get offended by it if they're.
It's just hard.
If they're asking for verification, it's just, you're probably not the first person they've talked to, and she's probably not the first girl you've talked to. So just be honest about the situation that, there's there's other things at play as far as that goes. Number 7 is internet access. This one's really tough when you're in the Philippines, because a lot of times you don't have load if you're using a phone.
If you don't have an internet,
and
it's hard.
You brown out. You can have all the internet you want. If there's no power, it's not going to work. There's a lot of things that get in the way with that ability to communicate. So making those times that you can link up special, and making sure that you always leave on a good note. That was one thing that I refused to do. If I knew Cheryl was mad at me, I wouldn't hang up until I at least made her smile. And sometimes they were the half smiles. They were like but I knew that I had touched her feelings, that she was coming out of it before I would say goodbye. Being angry when you hang up, that's not to your benefit. Try to avoid that at all costs. Number 8, other people's comments. I think this one is more for the Filipina than the guy. And that's because you had friends that had a lot of comments about us, right, honey? Some are positive, but others are not so positive.
Negative.
But you got to wonder what perspective their comment is coming from. Sometimes it's out of jealousy.
Not just friends, some family too.
So the other people's comments, I mean, for me, I would just say, don't worry about their comments. I mean, I got some...
Yeah, especially for the, Filipina. Huwag niyong, huwag niyong intindihin yung mga sinasabi nila, lalo na yung mga negative na mga sinasabi nila. Kasi, kayo lang naman, ikaw at yung boyfriend mo, or fiancé, husband, yung nakakaalam. And kayo yung nagmamahalan, hindi naman sila. So, don't mind it.
Yeah, and I would say try to avoid making judgments that would lead to some of the other ones we listed already. Trust, insecurities, those negative comments. They really can dig for LDRs, especially when you've had an extended period of time. Or a setback. A setback for that LDR is like if you were expecting your significant other to come and visit and they had to cancel their trip, or your visa was supposed to be coming in, or your passport and it didn't arrive. Don't let those situations compound the problem, and just try to help support each other as much as you can to get through it. So number 9 we have is temptation. Temptation. I've seen on some of the channels where guys talk about their Filipina girlfriends, and they're like, oh, she's so beautiful. Then we went to the mall, and I was looking around, and all the girls around, wow, they were all so beautiful. You know, there's nothing like a Filipina girl. My Filipina. So, you know, be happy with what you have. You know, beauty's only skin deep, guys. So you gotta have more than just looks.
If you really love him or her, naman, you can find him beautiful, but
You don't have to touch.
no, I mean, it's
Window shopping only, guys.
why you do that.
And don't stare. No, I don't.
Yeah. See, that's from you.
I can appreciate beauty without being envious of it. That's what I'll say about that.
I can appreciate handsomeness.
It's hard to find ruggedly handsome like me, but I'm sure there's a couple guys out there. Maybe one or two.
Too much.
All right. And the last one, guys, before we close this out, is loneliness. And I know for me that was one that was tough because everybody has a bad day. Everybody has a little rain on their parade. And sometimes when you're in an LDR, you really wish you had the ability to reach out and touch the person that you're in love with, that just for that support and that uplifting feeling. And with LDR, a lot of times you can't get that because when you need it, the other person's asleep, or they don't have internet access, or they're not able to communicate with you. And obviously you can't touch them if they're LDR.
What I did before was like when he's sleeping, I just send a bunch of messages. So when he wakes up, says
yeah, and you know, then you reply to him, and she's sleeping then. So you have to wait. Be patient. You know, give your significant other a chance to help provide that support that you want or you need. And hey, we're living proof it works. It can happen. You know, but you have to go into it with an open heart and an open mind. And you have to be able to trust, even in those tough situations where maybe it seems kind of ridiculous to give in to that feeling of trust, or to turn away from those insecurities that may be popping up. But a lot of times that's what it takes when it's LDR. And then obviously whenever you get that chance to be together, you got to make it special. And that's what makes it last for us. And we hope that it rings true for the rest of you as well, those of you that watch our videos. So with that, I think we're going to close this out so it's not too long. We're going to ask you to like and subscribe. I think the subscribe button is around here somewhere. I don't know. It's one of those places. Cheryl will make sure. You know, and then comment down below. You know, give us some encouragement if you find this video helpful. If
some
not,
suggestion.
Yeah, if not, give us some suggestions on something that might be a little bit more beneficial for you. And aloha, guys. We'll see you on the next vid. Bye.